All right, guys, I am pretty excited to talk about Netflix's Sonic Prime. Just to give a little bit of a tangent, I am not a streamer. I watch Tubi and I subscribe to Shudder, and that's been pretty much the same for about 3 or 4 years now. That I've only ever used those services. Tubi a lot more as it's become a lot more catalog heavy and stuff like that. But I can remember probably 2 or 3 occasions where I've subscribed to Netflix. I very rarely ever have. One instance I can remember is whenever Daredevil dropped way back when it was like, $6 a month. Cool, boom, watch it, boom, I'm out. But especially more recently, when I hear something's a Netflix original, I don't drop the dime. I usually try to anticipate a release like this. But of course, as I'm known for living and breathing Sonic the Hedgehog, I had to watch this when it dropped. It looked a lot different. It looked really cool. It's not something that's very typical for Sonic. I knew it just looked very unique, and it had a different direction by being executive produced by Man of Action, which a lot of people from way back in the day probably know Man of Action for. I'm probably missing some other major titles, but Ben 10, Generator Rex, just to name a couple, were produced by Man of Action. So whenever I heard that was the production company behind this, I knew I was going to be in for a treat because I grew up a big Ben 10 fan, right? So Sonic Prime is the second time I've ever subscribed to Netflix, and I was not disappointed. Now that I know that we're going to be getting physical media releases, and this one right now, as of this recording, I got this for like $13.49, and it's still, as of this recording, probably by the time it even drops, and probably still by the time that you're watching this, unless it goes out of print or anything like that, it's still retailing only for $13.49, and that's just as much of as a Netflix subscription, right? So I definitely recommend picking it up for that price, because I have nothing but high praises about this show. It is a little bit of a hot take. My personal favorite show is Sonic Boom. That is my favorite one. Yes, I do like Sonic X. It's cool and stuff like that. But Sonic Boom just never takes itself seriously. It's very goofy. It's very fun. It's very villain of the week approach where, you have like your 11, 12 minutes of adventures and misadventures and stuff like that. And it's really, really cool how that transpires. I love the universe. I love the different designs of Sonic. I thought it was really, really cool. And this falls in that same camp, and probably storyline-wise is one of the best out there since Sonic Underground. So Sonic Prime, essentially what it is you have Amy, Rouge, Tails, Knuckles, and Shadow and Sonic. All going up against Eggman, and then you have these prisms. Sonic is, doing Sonic things. He's a bit egotistical. Everybody say, no, Sonic, don't touch that prism, blah, stuff like that. And he touches the prism. He goes to punch it because, he's just super fast, so he just, boom. And it warps him to a place called New Yolk. Yes, yolk, like an egg yolk city, where it's very dystopian. It's not Green Hill Zone. It's very reminiscent of Green Hill Zone, but it's a very... Think of like Eggman Land from like Sonic Unleashed, a little bit less colorful, but very, very like destructive, dystopian, and everything like that, where it's ran by 4 or 5 different Eggmans. Amy is a Rust robot. I think she goes by Rusty Robot or something like that. Then Tails goes by 9 because he has 9 tails now. Yeah, 7 of them being mechanical, 2 organic tails, and he's very vitriolic towards the world. Then you have Knuckles and Rouge as like these freedom fighters, right? And Sonic ends up there and he's trying to figure out things that are going on. And at first I was kind of like, man, this is kind of a kid's show and stuff like that. It's definitely more like preteen, teen, like in that middle ground, right? It's very, very serious for the most part. It doesn't pace itself really like a kid's show, in my personal opinion. Probably somebody disagrees with me out there. But the story, the pacing, everything like that, it leaves a lot to go off of. Now, with that being said, the way that everything transpires, you get these different takes on very familiar characters, which is always really cool. I'm one of those people, I always like creative freedom and stuff like that in those camps and in those worlds. It's always really, really cool to see. I always, always, always adore that type of stuff. If I just keep getting, new TV shows, new games of the same old Sonic without really much difference, I'm just going to get bored, right? And that goes for really anything, right? I recently dropped a Kung Fu Panda review. If there wouldn't be 4 Kung Fu Pandas if they didn't do something different each one. It wouldn't have the cult following that it does if they didn't do something different. They keep it fresh, original, and still true to the formula of what it is. Now, again, I know that's different than changing up the characters, but go in with this with an open mind, and I think you'll have a great, 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 great time. So He does go to 3 different worlds. Every time that he touches this prism, he warps to a different world. So he goes to one with pirates, and then he goes to one where it's more like jungle, Amazonian. You know, they're a lot more feral since they're based on animals. They go a lot more off of the animal instinct part. And each character has their own little arc. And this, you can even say, even though this is season 1, it really is more just part 1, because it does just kind of end on a big cliffhanger, which is cool because season 2 picks up a lot of speed from there. So now that we've wrapped up with the story, now that I know that I told you I'm a huge fan with it, let's get into the Blu-ray itself. It's a solid package, right? I can't be too upset for only $13.49. I wouldn't be surprised if this isn't found, if it starts getting sold in stores inside of bargain bins and stuff like that. And that's not because of the quality. Let me preface that. It's just the episodes. That's why. There's absolutely no bonus features. So there's no behind the scenes. There's no this. There's no that. It's just a straight up season 1 release. And that's okay, right? So you get episode 1, Shattered, episode 2, Yoke's on You, episode 3, Escape from New Yoke, Unwelcome to the Jungle, episode 4, episode 5, Barking Up the Wrong Tree, episode 6, Situation Grim, episode 7, It Takes One to No Place, episode 8, there's no R in team, so 8 episodes for about $13.49, so that's about $1.29, $1.40 or so per episode, which isn't bad for having this on your shelf forever, right? So the sound quality when Sonic Spin dashes, absolutely awesome. Sounds really good. Night and day difference from Netflix. The other, the video quality, absolutely amazing. Whenever, you know, blue everywhere, you have an immensely altered color palette in every way, shape, or form, and it just is such eye candy. It's such a good time. So I definitely think this is worth it, especially now that the price of Netflix keeps increasing, and assuming we're going to be getting 2 and season 3 just wrapped up filming pretty recently. So assuming that that's the case and everything like that, I would just say keep holding out for these releases. Of course, support it on Netflix if you've already got a Netflix subscription. I know a lot of people out there do. Go out there, support it, give it your views and stuff like that, because it actually is a very wonderful show. It's not perfect by any means. It's, again, like I said, it's kind of in that in-between, like that pre-teen approach. It's not quite for teens, but it's not quite for kids. It's right in the middle. It's a little bit more serious than you would expect out of it. But it has a great story that I really like. It's very different, you know, and I definitely think it's one that needs to be fleshed out and finished to the fullest degree. So again, guys, I'm going to go ahead and just I'll rate the show or season 1 as a whole I'd say about a 7.5 or so. I'll probably rate the package the same as well, 7.5. Since it's only got the show, it doesn't have any bonus features. The fact that we got it on there, you know what? Fuck it. I'll give it an 8, right? Because the fact that we got it on physical media, I got to give it some leeway. So an 8 on the package and stuff like that. Definitely worth going out there and buying. And again, 7.5, 8, not bad by any means, right? That's perfectly good. That's perfectly good. So thank you guys so much for staying and listening to me rant about Sonic. I will take any and every single opportunity that I possibly can in this world to rant about Sonic. So please like, comment, subscribe. Talk to me about Sonic. Please, somebody for the love of God, talk to me about Sonic down below. Until next time, guys, see you on the next From Screen to Shelf review. You guys stay safe out there.